Hi everyone, welcome back to the Potsmoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Potsmoker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. It comes from the Ketuvim, or Old Testament of the Christian Bible. I use my uncle King James's version of the Christian Bible in order to put together the prophecy of Israel, because I wanted to keep it in the family. It was written for me, by the way. The language in it perfectly suited to modern day events, which you will see. So, today I'm going to begin reading the Potsmoker's Bible. It's totally free of charge. I don't believe in money, so I'm not going to charge you money for something that is sacred and holy to me. Something that is much, much more important than money. A good time. Anyway, I'm going to read to you the introduction of the Potsmoker's Bible. And then maybe I'll tell you a little bit about it, or we'll see what kind of time we have. Anyway, from now on, I'm going to be reading you the Potsmoker's Bible so that you can see just how crazy this woman is and how awesome her dream is. Because they both go hand in hand. So, anyway, I'm going to introduce to you now the Potsmoker's Bible. And I will begin with the introduction. This book was almost 3,000 years in the making. It began around 720 BC near the rivers of Babylon, where Isaiah was an Assyrian captive. In the 6th chapter of the book that bears his name, God asks for a volunteer to go and speak for them to a future generation. Isaiah answered, "Here I am, send me." It is his ancient message that is the basis of this book. A message sent almost 3,000 years into the future. Although many learned theologians have spent their respective lifetimes trying to understand his message, none have so far been able to do so. And with good reason. The prophecy was sealed. Isaiah was instructed to write it so that many would hear but understand not, see but perceive not, so that none could understand it, no matter how hard they tried, until the end of time. At the end of our age, God said, the prophecy would speak plainly. Its meaning would then become clear. And as you shall see, that time is now, and the message can easily be understood, especially by those who are living it, because it was written in their own language, a language that they themselves created, or so they thought, a language that didn't exist until now. Now that the language used in the prophecy is a viable spoken language, the text we once found unintelligible becomes clear and self-evident. The scattered pieces of the prophecy begin to become eerily familiar, especially to those who speak the language. The 28th chapter of Isaiah instructs us to piece together the prophecy. We are to take the scattered lines and precepts and rearrange them into their proper order so that we can piece together the events outlined in the text. Using chapter 28 as our guide, we can put together the jigsaw puzzle left to us by Isaiah. What emerges is a complete reversal of morality and the current fortunes of the peoples involved. Chapter 29 of Isaiah literally turns everything upside down. What society calls good and just, God calls cruel and unjust. The good guys become the bad guys. The people society scorns become the righteous. It is a complete transformation of current morality and social standings. But as Isaiah forewarned us, the very people who can read the language spoken are the ones that have rejected it out of hand, just not even bothering to look.
unaware of their true identity. Even though they can easily read Isaiah's message, they've chosen not to. They are a people scattered and torn, a diverse people, hidden within the world's population. They are uniquely unrecognized, unprotected, subject to all manner of abuse, oppression, unable to defend themselves. They meekly submit to the cruel treatment of those in authority over them. The big irony of Isaiah is that the people of God's wrath are the people who falsely proclaim themselves to be his chosen people. They, in their ignorance and pride, have unwittingly put into motion the events of the prophecy. It is their false morality that has ironically allowed them to become the wicked oppressors who are the true enemy of God. They call themselves the saved, not the damned. They have chosen for themselves a false idol that cannot save. And it is in its name that they create a society that has set into motion a global destruction that cannot be avoided. They have, in fact, destroyed themselves with their false gods. The salvation foretold in Isaiah isn't a fantastic, godly act by a superhuman savior, as they believe. It is a very human act, in fact. Nothing that Isaiah predicts is fantastic. All the events foretold are ordinary events done by or carried out by ordinary people. There are no superhuman saviors in the prophecy, so to speak. The true savior of the chosen people of God is in fact a female. Although Isaiah informs us of a male Messiah, the groom, who returns with mercy to his childhood bride, it is his bride Zion who champions the cause of their people. She is the savior of humanity and the redeemer of Israel. In fact, most of the prophecy is about her and the things that she does. She is the one who travails. She cries like a woman in labor. She gives birth to a nation and its king. But she does all of this by ordinary means, by doing the things foretold by Isaiah. The entire prophecy is a detailed plan of action, instructions from God to Zion. She is given at least 18 things that she has to make happen in order to fulfill the prophecy. It is by following God's plan that Zion succeeds in her great endeavor to save humanity. The woman who becomes Zion is a very specific person. Isaiah gives us many details about her life. For instance, she is barren. She sings. She suffers from PTSD. She loves a man who rejects her in her youth. She mourns his loss as if she were a widow. She is renamed by God just as Abram and Jacob were. She isn't born Zion. She becomes Zion by God's hand, by the will of God. Only Zion herself could see the book that bears her name hidden in the ancient prophecy of Isaiah and his fellow prophets. The final element of the prophecy is God. And just like the rest of the players, God is not who it seems. The events foretold set up the stage for God's return to earth, an alien intervention on behalf of Zion. God, as we know them, are great. When Zion makes first contact with the Greys, Our society will change instantly. The people of Zion will become the only means for humans to interact with the aliens. It is and has always been their purpose. Their sudden importance will change society forever. The people of Zion, together with their intergalactic friends, will then begin to prepare for a catastrophe to come. Climate change is far worse than we realize. Our God has seen what will come of our CO2 and methane overload, and they are here to save us from ourselves. They will help us shelter during the worst of what is to come. Because of the coming events, efforts of the people of Zion and the Grey, humanity will survive what we have set in motion with our pollution. When the dust settles, the people of Zion will emerge as the sole survivors. Everything we see around us will be gone. All that we have created will have turned to dust, literally. The end of the age of man will come, and a delightful future awaits all those who who can imagine a world reborn. Isaiah's voice speaks clearly to those of us who understand its cryptic and timely language. The events he foresaw and depicted are all around us. Many events have already occurred, like 9/11 when the towers fell, or the trial and imprisonment of Zion. All of the injustices carried out by the oppressors can be seen on TV. Isaiah saw clearly our day, and anyone who is living it knows the language that he speaks. What follows is the modern interpretation of the prophecy of Isaiah of Israel in the words of the prophets themselves, which is the Book of Zion, and my own commentary on it, the Potsmoker's Bible. The text of prophecy comes from the Christian King James Bible, my family's translation of the ancient text, but it's not a Christian prophecy. Because I am the Zion of the Most High God of Israel, and this is my story. So ends the introduction to the Potsmoker's Bible. Boy, was that quite telling. Now, I want you to realize something here. Everything is about ready to flip upside down on you guys. If you get high, you're never going to be ashamed of yourself again. And if you have a cross, I'd take that thing and chunk it out the fucking window. Because as this introduction tells you, morality is flipped. There is a bunch of idol worshippers who are going to die because of their idol. And there are a bunch of pot smoking hippies out there that are about ready to be elevated into the 1% elite of the world, while the 1% elite goes bye bye. This has been, wow, there's a lot in here. There's a lot in the Pot Smoker's Bible. So, we're going to take this one passage at a time, one concept at a time, one event at a time. And by the time we get through this book, hopefully, you guys will have paid attention and we could be in our tents living out this awesome fantasy that I'm about to tell you about. Because this is my dream. This is everything that I have lived for, everything that you've lived for and didn't know it. So, let the Grey watch over you, guide you, and protect you, and keep you from all harm. May they teach you right from wrong. And may you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it. Be your joy. Stay happy and high. You have every right and reason to. As you're about to see. I'm going to say later now. Because you know, I'll never say goodbye.